It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning. Welcome to the Travel and Cruise Industry News Podcast. For this, the 28th day of September 2022, coming to you from Bedford County, Virginia, Central Virginia area, right near Lynchburg. Today's lead story, 155 mile an hour, strong Category 4 Hurricane Ian. Of course, that's dominating the news again today. Also today, we're going to talk about cruise ship updates due to Hurricane Ian. Celebrity Cruises returns to Los Angeles. Disney finally changes their vaccine and testing protocols. And Viking takes delivery of the second expedition ship. These and a lot more stories here at 11 o'clock this morning. Today, folks, is National Drink Beer Day. Now, I'm not the big beer drinker that some of you are. I will occasionally have a beer, so I will have one today since it's Drink Beer Day. So, whatever you're doing today, go someplace and have a beer. Or you might just have to go to your refrigerator and get one. If you're listening via the podcast, welcome aboard. You can always access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. All the big hitters, all the national search engines, to search for travel and cruise industry news, and up pops the fat travel guy. All right, first thing this morning, we have a live update, another live update. And here with breaking news this morning is Hot Air Tom from a glacier in Iceland. Hot Air Tom, tell us where you are.
I don't know any more than what you just said. We're on the second largest glacier in Iceland. Is that right? Second largest?
Okay. And you're in a van on a tour, is that correct?
Yeah, a monster van.
Okay. That has Wi-Fi on the van?
Yes.
Maybe we need to get the driver of the van to teach these cruise ships how to do things. This is awesome. Okay, so you're with several other passengers, right? Yes.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chillie's Cruises. This is just awesome. And you can see in the background there from Hot Air Tom's camera, actually a little bit of the glacier. Now, have you been out actually in the snow, Hot Air Tom?
No snow, just ice. Yes.
Just ice.
We just got back in the van, and I saw that you had a link. So.
All right, that's just awesome. All right, Hot Air Tom, you tell everybody thank you, and you guys have a fantastic day in Iceland.
Thank you, Chillie.
All right.
Say thank you.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
And of course, that was Hot Air Tom. And folks, just to prove that Hot Air Tom was out on the glacier, of course, these are what I call the money shots. That was earlier. And then there we go. Hot Air Tom out on the ice. And there literally he is in the middle of the glacier. So while we're doing this, Hot Air Tom is on this van, okay, monster van, he calls it, that has its own Wi-Fi signal. And that was a pretty good signal, too. A couple other pictures that he sent in there in Iceland. There we go. And some of the folks, they're from several other vans. And there you could see the glacier off in the distance. So he also sent a couple other clips. Let me see if I can get a couple seconds of each. This would be... a
beautiful video for you of the glacier water melt running through underneath the lava fields coming into these waterfalls. You take the top of the picture, turn it up a little bit as the lava field.
I didn't know if Hot Air Tom was talking in this one or not, because these I've just gotten them and uploaded them, so I had not previewed this. But that's the glacier field in Iceland. So thanks to Hot Air Tom on literally on a glacier. How cool was that? All right. Now, goodness, where did that go? Lost my place again. All right, Rochelle did have some information from Rochelle this morning. She is in Salzburg, Austria. They had lunch in what is claimed to be the oldest restaurant in the world, St. Peter's Cellar. Delicious food. They visited the cemetery and the abbey from the Sound of Music. And this is from Salzburg, Austria. Of course, you know, Rochelle's always going to get in a church or a cathedral. Just absolutely stunning scenery. Very Austrian-ish. Hi, folks. They're waving hi to everybody. Of course, all the people on this tour know that Rochelle is sharing this with me, and some of these folks have made it online before. They were drinking beer at the Oktoberfest. Now it looks like they're having a little wine. So these are my kind of churchgoers, I'll tell you that. And that's the St. Peter's Cellar, which they claim is the oldest restaurant in the world. I who knows if that's correct or not. But where the Sound of Music came from. All right, and then Sue and Barry went to Wonderland. Now, unfortunately, Sue, I can't use her video clips. They have several video clips. This little apple-like thing, they pour some kind of syrup over it, and it magically opens to whatever's inside. And I'm not sure entirely what was inside it. That would look like a pretty nice steak. Of course, it's all decorated up. I'm interested in food, folks. I like to eat. It doesn't have to be artwork for me. Just give me the steak. But then there's, I'm guessing this is maybe fish. I'm not even sure about that. It might be something, who knows what it is. This was a soup that's actually, they have the ingredients in the bowl and pour the hot water in it right in front of you, and it makes that looks something similar to Chinese soup, but I'm not sure. Who knows? On Wonderland. That's Sue, of course, and with one of the folks from Wonderland. That, to me, I'm not sure entirely what it is. I sent her a message. I have not heard back from her yet. I think that might be a grasshopper or something like that. And this is a little weird for me, folks. I am going to have to tell you right up front. And that was Barry, and he ate something on one of the video clips that he spit out real quickly. And one of the other guests did the same thing. So if you follow Sue, go over to her Facebook page when she's where the Wonderland dinner last night was posted, and there are several video clips in there that are hysterical. Unfortunately, I can't steal them. I can steal the pictures. So that's Wonderland on Wonder of the Seas, currently the world's largest cruise ship. All right. And Kenneth and Robin, after all the worrying about the hurricane and whether they were going to get to go to Bermuda or not, and thinking it was going to be canceled, and that was right up to the last minute, they got to Bermuda and it was absolutely perfect weather. It's just a gorgeous day in Bermuda. And they went to, I got to look over here to catch the beach name again, because Horseshoe Bay Beach. They went to Horseshoe Bay Beach in Bermuda on an absolutely perfect day. So that's Horseshoe Bay Beach in Bermuda from Kenneth and Robin. So that's everything I had this morning from all the Chillie's families that are out cruising. All right, guys, I'll be back with today's news right after a word from one of our network sponsors. All right, of course, we're talking about weather again this morning and Hurricane Ian. Before I get to that, let me point out the red X over there in the middle of the Atlantic just a couple minutes before I came on. That has been upgraded to a Tropical Depression 11 now. Probably will be a tropical storm by today or tomorrow. And that one bears watching. Some reports are saying that this is going to fade away quickly. Other reports are saying still it's 70% chance of further development over the next 5 days. We're just going to have to watch this one. But let's get on back to Hurricane Ian. Hurricane Ian is a strong Category 4. It has had rapid intensification, and it is near Category 5. Conditions along the southeast coast are deteriorating. More than 2.5 million people have been urged to evacuate as Hurricane Ian barrels toward Florida, threatening catastrophic flooding and life-threatening storm surge. Ian has strengthened to a high Category 4 with sustained winds of 155 miles per hour. That's only 2 miles per hour, folks, from a Category 5 storm. Projections had Ian tracking to hit the Tampa Bay area, which would have been the first time in like 20 years that there's been a direct hit in Tampa Bay. The track has moved actually a little bit to the east, which means that the landfall has moved to the south, and it's probably going to be somewhere in the Fort Myers area. It could, which you just can't tell at this point, but somewhere between Fort Myers and Sarasota is where we're expecting landfall sometime this afternoon. The other thing that this shift has done is that's put a lot more pressure going across the state into Orlando and Daytona Beach once it gets on the Atlantic side. So those folks have had to, buck up over there as well. The schools, supermarkets, theme parks, hospitals have all announced closures. Hundreds of flights, of course, have been canceled. The Navy has moved all of its ships. People are boarding up their homes while others are leaving in droves on very congested highways. All right, I hate to go through this long list of warnings, but due to the seriousness of what's going to be happening today, just in case by chance somebody is listening to this or watching this that has not heeded the warnings and is in a fog, hurricane warning is in effect for Chokoloskee to Anaclate River, including Tampa Bay, the Dry Tortugas. The storm surge warning is in effect for Suwannee River southward to Flamingo, Tampa Bay, Lower Florida Keys, from Big Pine Key westward to Key West, the Dry Tortugas, Flagler and Volusia County line to the mouth of St. Mary's River and the St. Johns River. Tropical storm warnings are in effect for still the northern provinces of Cuba, which they should cancel shortly, Indian Pass to Anclate River, all of the Florida Keys, Flamingo to South Sante River, Flamingo to Chokoloskee, Lake Okeechobee, Florida Bay, and Bimini and Grand Bahama Islands in the Bahamas. A storm surge watch is in effect for the Florida Keys from Card Sound Bridge westward to east of Big Pine Key, Florida Bay, the mouth of St. Mary's River to South Santee River. The center of Hurricane Ian was located about 55 miles west of Naples, about 60 miles southwest of Punta Gorda, moving north-northeast at 10 miles an hour. This should start slowing down, possibly to as slow as 5 miles per hour, which means that this storm is just going to dump a whole lot more on you guys. Keep in mind, folks, you've got two things to deal with. You've got a strong storm surge, which is pushing water in now on both sides of the state. Okay, so it's in different directions. But let's talk about the west side first. Where we get near landfall, that water is going to be coming in. And then on top of that, you're going to get maybe 24 inches of additional rain. So not only could you have a 10-foot storm surge, you're going to have 2 feet of rain on top of that. So you're getting it both ways, not to mention the wind. So this is, folks, this is just going to be a disastrous day in Florida, I'm afraid. As you can see from this chart, this is a wind chart. And going straight across the state is the worst of it. You know, wherever it comes ashore here in southern Florida, you could have extreme wind damage all the way across the state to Jacksonville, including Orlando, Daytona Beach. So that's what's going to happen. The rains are going to be as much as 20 inches. And following along with that, we could even get 4 inches here in Virginia from the rainfall. All right. So let's jump back over here. It's supposed, the center of Ian is expected to approach the west coast of Florida within the hurricane warning area and move onshore later today. The center of Ian is forecast to move over central Florida tonight and Thursday morning and emerge over the western Atlantic by late Thursday. Very recent data from the Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter aircraft indicate the maximum sustained winds are at 155 miles an hour with higher gusts. It's a strong Category 4 hurricane, 2 miles per hour from Category 5. Some fluctuations in intensity can happen as Ian reaches the coast of Florida. Ian reaches the coast of Florida. Ian is forecast to approach the west coast of Florida as an extremely dangerous major hurricane. Once it hits landfall, we expect it to weaken some. However, hurricane force winds extend 40 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds extend outward 175 miles from the center. So you can expect tropical force winds 175 miles away from wherever this thing lands. The estimated minimum pressure is 937 millibars. All right, the latest storm surge totals: the middle of Long Boat Key to Bonita Beach, including Charlotte Harbor, 8 to 12 feet. Bonita Beach to Chokoloskee, 6 to 10 feet. And Clate River to the middle of Longboat Key, including Tampa Bay, 4 to 6 feet. That's an improvement for Tampa Bay. Chokoloskee to East Cape Sable, 4 to 7 feet. Sewanee River to Anclate River, 3 to 5 feet. Lower Keys from Key West to Big Pine Key, including Dry Tortugas, 3 to 5 feet. Flagler Volusia County line to Savannah River, including St. Johns River, 3 to 5 feet. St. Johns River south of Julington, 2 to 4 feet. Savannah River to South Santee River, 2 to 4. East Cape Sable to Cord Sound Ridge, 2 to 4. Florida Keys east to Big Pine Key, 2 to 4 feet. Patrick Air Force Base to Flagler Volusia County line, 1 to 3 feet. And Indian Pass to the Sewanee River, 1 to 3 feet. Catastrophic wind damage is likely where the core of Ian comes ashore. Hurricane conditions will begin along the west coast of Florida within the hurricane warning area later this morning or early this afternoon. Tropical storm conditions have already begun. So, the latest rainfall totals is projected. Florida Keys and South Florida up to 12 inches. Central and Northwest Florida up to 24 inches. Eastern Georgia and coastal South Carolina up to 12 inches. And of course, that's going to cause widespread, life-threatening, catastrophic flash, urban, and river flooding. Tornadoes are still a possibility through today and tonight. And of course, the tides are going to be horrible on both coasts, the west coast of Florida and up the east coast. So you don't want to get out there and play in the water today. All right, taking a look at the cruising situation around the state. Port Miami is at port condition Yankee. The busiest cruise port in the world has been under condition Yankee since 8 p.m. yesterday. This means gale force winds were expected within 24 hours. The port will remain open for limited operations, but no movement for ships of 500 gross tons, such as cruise ships. Port Everglades is also at port condition Yankee. Just north of Port Miami is under the same condition. The condition was set at 8 p.m. yesterday. The port could move to Zulu in the coming hours. Port Canaveral is in port condition Zulu. The second busiest cruise port has been under condition Zulu since midnight. This means the port is now fully closed, including cruise operations. The port is expecting gale force winds by noon today. The port of Tampa on the west coast, of course, is also port condition Zulu and is closed. Jacksport in Jacksonville is port condition Yankee and has been since midnight. The port is not fully closed, but limited operations, and none of that includes cruise ships. So, breaking it down specifically on the cruise ships and how they've been affected. Since Carnival waited till almost last to update anything, Carnival Paradise, yesterday, Carnival Paradise announced the cancellation of the September 29th, that's tomorrow, sailing from Tampa. This is a result of the port being closed, of course. The current September 24th voyage is waiting out the storm in Cozumel. So those people cannot get back to Tampa, and the next cruise is canceled. The ship is hoping to arrive back in Tampa sometime on Saturday, October the 1st. Carnival Elation is also impacted by Hurricane Ian. Sailing from Jacksport in Jacksonville, the ship is currently on a 5-night Bahamas itinerary that was to have visited Princess Keys today, but will instead dock in Nassau. It's due to return to Jacksonville Thursday. The ship will now be delayed due to the port's closure, as Hurricane Ian is forecast to move north over the peninsula and remaining strong enough to impact marine operations. Carnival Elation will sail to Jacksonville as soon as weather permits and the dock reopens. Also, of course, the September 29th sailing of the Elation has been canceled. Carnival Liberty is on the current September 26th sailing out of Port Canaveral. The cruise line is warning guests that the ship could have a delayed arrival back in Florida on Friday the 30th. Port of Charleston in South Carolina, where Carnival Sunshine is also on a 7-night cruise, may be impacted later in the week. Those updates will be announced as they become available. Celebrity Infinity is on a 7-night sailing out of Fort Lauderdale, which departed on the 24th. Has replaced calls to Belize and Cozumel with a visit to Nassau and the Bahamas and Haiti, Labadee and Haiti. We don't know if there's going to be any change. They're hoping that it's due back on the 1st, that hopefully Fort Lauderdale will be open by then. That one remains to be seen. From Norwegian, the Norwegian Getaway, it was announced yesterday that the sailing today out of Port Canaveral has been canceled due to Hurricane Ian and the closure of the port. The cruise line is providing a full refund and 25% future cruise credit on that. MSC Seashore, which departed on September 24th on a 7-night round-trip Western Caribbean sailing, will no longer be making the same port visits as originally planned. Everything about the ship's itinerary has changed to route the vessel around Hurricane Ian. The Seashore visited Ocean Key on Sunday as the first port of call rather than the last. With a shorter visit time on Monday, the ship spent the day in Nassau. One day at sea followed, then an overnight visit to Puerto Plata in Dominican Republic today. Another day at sea. The cruise will conclude in Miami as planned on the 1st, if Miami is open by then. That one we'll have to wait and see on as well. The Divina is also affected. The September 28th sailing out of Port Canaveral has been canceled. Of course, that's today's. As a result, the guests who were booked on that sailing will receive a full refund if they choose to rebook. This does mean that the September 25th sailing has been extended from a 4-day itinerary to at least a 5-day cruise. The hope is for MSC Divina to be able to arrive back in Port Canaveral on the 30th. Don't know about that one yet. And that brings us up to Royal Caribbean. Allure of the Seas is on a 6-night voyage out of Fort Lauderdale. Cruise line is making sure guests and crew remain far away from hurricane impact. They skipped a call in Roatan on Tuesday. The vessel will still include Costa Maya and Cozumel before returning back to Florida on the 1st. Mariner of the Seas 5-night voyage, which departed Port Canaveral on the 21st, has been adjusted. Royal Caribbean skipped the visit to Labadee on the 26th and instead had a day at sea. Ship is scheduled to arrive back home tomorrow, not likely, but the port remains closed. Guests could expect a delayed arrival. Remember, the delayed arrival also affects the next cruise. Liberty at Sea canceled a call to Cozumel yesterday. It's on a 7-night sailing, which departed Galveston on the 25th. So that's not scheduled to get back to Galveston until the 2nd, and that should be able to be kept on schedule. And finally, Disney has communicated with guests that the Disney Wish may be delayed on its return for the 30th, which, of course, again, the knock-on, knock-off delay affects embarkation and debarkation. And so we're just going to have to play Disney by what happens. So that's an update on all the cruise ships, cruises, and ports due to this horrible hurricane category, strong hurricane category 4, which still has time to become a category 5 before landfall. So we're going to just watch that closely. All right, Celebrity Solstice, Celebrity Cruises returned to Los Angeles for the first time in 15 years when the Solstice headed to Puerto Vallarta from Los Angeles. Actually, it was 8 years ago the last time that a Celebrity cruise ship sailed from Los Angeles. It's the first time Celebrity has offered a full season of Mexican Riviera sailings in 15 years, which also marked a milestone for Celebrity Solstice when they made their initial debut in the market. And kicking off its full season of Mexican Riviera sailings, the ship will now offer 5, 7, and 8-night itinerary options that visit ports of call in Puerto Vallarta, Cabo San Lucas, and Ensenada. All right. Starting October the 14th, it's going to take me a couple days to get used to saying October now. Starting October 14th, Disney Cruise Line will drop the vaccine mandate for all guests and introduce relaxed testing requirements for fully vaccinated guests. Disney Cruise Line was one of the last cruise lines to make these changes. The new protocols will be introduced on a rolling basis, starting with Disney Wish, concluding with Disney Magic on November 7th. For 4 out of 5 ships in the fleet, the changes come right in time for the popular Halloween cruises. So you think they're geared and determined how they do things by money? Can you imagine such a thing? All right. We've been following the Viking Octantis since it got in the Great Lakes this year. The Octantis sister ship, the Viking Polaris, has now been received by Viking as the line's second purpose-built expedition ship. They took ownership of it yesterday. The delivery ceremony took place in Fincantieri Vard shipyard in Soviknes, Norway, followed by the Viking Polaris setting sail. It's heading to the U.S. following the delivery ceremony. Viking Polaris will be coming to the Great Lakes and very similar itineraries to the Viking Octantis. So we will see Polaris over here sometime in the not too distant future. after a naming ceremony in Amsterdam. So that's going to actually wrap up the news portion today. And we'll jump over in the chat room and see who's with us today. And if anybody is fussing at the old fat guy, Mike's with us. Hi, Mike. Bonnie's with us. Bonnie's one of the people we got to certainly keep in our thoughts and prayers today. Hi from a wet and windy South Florida. At least I still have power. We hope that that stays that way, Bonnie, but it's unfortunately, I don't know. It's going to get worse, I'm afraid. Nikki's with us up in Jacksonville. You're probably going to have it tonight. This late afternoon and evening will be the worst of it up there. Bonnie says, hi, y'all. Eddie's with us. Yo, yo, yo. Brooklyn is in the house. Good to have you back, Eddie. Gretchen's with us out in Ohio. Hope all the hurricane misses everybody. Hot Air Tom is with us. Everyone, we are at another stop now. Hot Air Tom might want to stay on the glacier because Cindy is going to want to kill him. Cindy always wants to kill him. That's one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. She's constantly muttering under her breath, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. I love it. That was so much fun. If Chillie sends a leak, we'll show you a view. Give me a half a second, Hot Air, and I'll do that. We'll get a live update from Hot Air Tom as quickly as I can get it to him and see. Oh, he put up a bunch of pictures too. So let's do this. So Hot Air Tom, it's on the way to you. So I'll, when you pop in, I will jump over and bring you online. If he gets this, you never know. I'm not sure. He could have done that the first part of the show and may no longer have it. We'll just have to wait and see. Gretchen says she likes the van. I agree. The glaciers in Iceland don't look like glaciers in Alaska. Yeah, it looks a little different. Nikki says, hi, Gretchen. We have battened down the hatches, bought peanut butter and jelly, and are watching the storm porn on the Weather Channel. Glad you weren't here in your son's house. Yeah. Amy says, I love Iceland. Hot Air says, we are at the tectonic plate fissure in Iceland that separates the North American and European plate. Wow, that's pretty cool. Now, Hot Air did load some pictures, which I will. I'm not going to be able to do that in the middle of the show, but I will. Let me make sure that I did send that to Hot Air Tom. Yes, I did. So we'll see if, Hot Air Tom could be out doing something. I walked from Europe to North America while Chillie talked. How about that? Yeah. That's pretty cool, Hot Air. So I have no idea if Hot Air's where he can get the link, but we'll kind of stall in here to see if he comes in. Gretchen says, Nikki, my sons have been looking to buy another rental on the beach in Florida. This will probably change his mind. Bonnie says, my sister lived in a condo in Cocoa for 2 years, but after the third evacuation, she has moved inland near Orlando. And man, Orlando's going to get it today too, it looks like. You think Orlando is safe, but maybe not. Here comes Hot Air Tom. There we go. So Hot Air Tom, I have you now live. I got to do to get it. No, that doesn't do it. There we go. Okay, Hot Air Tom.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, you can hear me. All right, you walked from Europe to North America while I was running my mouth.
That's right.
That's cool. All right, where are you now?
I think we're on the European plate now, and we're headed for a couple hour drive back to the ship.
Okay. And the ship is in Reykjavik?
Yes.
Okay, you're going back to Reykjavik. Now, was it last night you were trying to see the Northern Lights or tonight?
Last night. Yeah.
Last night, did you see them?
Nope. Too cloudy.
Too cloudy.
And it started to rain down. Luckily, we got back in the van before it started raining, so it's been a good day.
Okay, good. All right. Well, Hot Air, thanks for doing this. And again, tell everybody now we all say hi.
Hi.
All right, Hot Air Tom. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Hot Air.
Okay, bye.
All right, see you. That was Hot Air Tom live from the European plate as he's on his way back to Reykjavik. So he crossed from Europe to North America while I was talking. And then before I got done, he's back in Europe. So that's a first for this channel. So Bonnie says, I have two friends who live near Fort Myers and Sanibel. That's going to be right where we're looking at landfall, I'm afraid. They remember Hurricane Charlie. Charlie washed out all the main roads along the coast. So much damage. Yeah, and Charlie was a small storm compared to this one. This is much bigger, much wider, and probably stronger too. So I'm really worried about everybody that's in its path. I hope a lot of people evacuated and got to hell to a safe place. Gretchen says he sent a picture yesterday of an empty martini glass in front of a baseball game on TV. That's pretty cool. If NASA can send a rocket to move an asteroid, why can't someone figure out how to send a rocket into a hurricane and wipe out the hurricane? Bonnie, you need to take a road trip up to NASA and go in there and talk some sense into those people. I would be all in favor of doing that. And I'd like to live stream that one too. Bonnie giving NASA hell on why they can't move a hurricane with a rocket. Now, sounds good to me, Bonnie. Wow, Jason's with us up in Pittsburgh. Hi, Jason. When is your Carnival Paradise cruise? I leave here on the 26th of October, and I want to think I'm on Serenade first. Is that right? I do Serenade of the Seas, then I go across to Margaritaville on the 25th of October. I sail on Serenade of the Sea, so I'll leave on the 23rd. Then on the 2nd, I'm on Margaritaville at sea from West Palm Beach. And then on the 5th, I'm on Carnival Paradise. So I've got, I got over a month until I'm actually on Carnival Paradise, Jason. So Gretchen says, got to walk the dog. He's got to go, but I'm still listening. Well, yeah, you got to take care of the dog, Gretchen. That's more important. Katie's with us. Katie, wow, things are looking wicked for Orlando. I know you're a little further north with your sister, That was a good move on your part, because it looks now like Orlando's going to get hit. And I know that's a place where a lot of people have been going for the safety of the way the buildings are built and the availability of rooms, and now they're going to get nailed. This is just going to be a tough one, I'm afraid. Bonnie says, as the rain started, we keep getting feeder bands and the winds are strong now. Yeah, it's pretty much now. There's activities pretty much all over Florida. And of course, yeah, at least by when I got on board, we weren't into landfall yet. Now, of course, I have not, had everything going while I've been on the show. Rain, but not much wind, Katie says, where she is. Eddie says, Katie, stay safe. I agree. Bonnie says, I've only been on one cruise that was affected by a hurricane. It was actually following us, but arrived in Fort Lauderdale before us. We stayed on the ship for an extra hour. Mine was 2 days. So I got an extra 2 days of cruising out of the one that I was affected by. And I've sailed during hurricane season almost every year, at least once. And I've been lucky all these years. And obviously I was lucky on 2 cruises in the heart of the season this year. So actually 4 cruises, because the 2 in July, the end of June and July was technically in the hurricane season. So I was lucky on 4 cruises this year. Gretchen says, I think it's just south of Orlando. Maybe not so bad, Katie. Yeah, it's going to get worse, though. Will Ian hang around and cause us problems? Hot air time, we're talking about Ian getting up into our neck of the woods, and maybe now it's going to be a little to the west of us, maybe to the west of Richmond by this weekend. So who knows what's going to happen on up the coast. So yeah, you could have some impacts. It depends on how big the storm gets. It's going to weaken some going across the state of Florida. Then it's going to get back in water. What's the condition of the water? What's the condition of strengthening back again? Hopefully wind shear will take care of some of that. And hopefully once it gets in the water, it'll stay in its weakened state. No guarantee on that. That one we're going to have to watch. Eddie says completed move to Georgia now since April. That's right. Eddie came down to Georgia, and he's going to get his first taste of storms, possibly, where he is in Georgia. Bonnie, what is an Icelandic tradition? No one knows, Tom, but Ian plans on doing. He's changed his mind several times already. Oh, okay, that she's answering earlier. Eddie says, thank you, sir. Anytime, Eddie. No matter what, Ian, we're going to get whatever they have over there in Atlanta. Yeah, you're going to get some. You're going to get, hopefully it'll just be some rain and a little wind. Not bad. But yeah, I mean, the further north the storm goes, the worse it can be up there. So let's hope, Eddie, that it's nice and calm. Hot air's back in the van now. So true, maybe not as bad as Sandy, but the Atlantic coast will get wet. Oh yeah, everybody in Florida is going to be affected by this somehow. Eddie said, Sandy sucked big time. Yes, it did. Scary part is the condo where my parents used to live in Delray Beach got hit by a tornado last night. Wow. The exact area where the condo was, cars were flipped over, roofs blown off. Whew. Trees were down. Yeah, that was scary. I saw some reports on the tornadoes last night. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for now. I feel certain that I will be back on today at some point in time, at least for a brief update as they become available. Tomorrow is a very full day for me. Not only do I have my show in the morning, we do have Cruise Amigos at 1 tomorrow, 1 o'clock my time. It's Eastern time, which is noon Central time, and 6 p.m. British summertime. And then at 2 o'clock tomorrow, we have the Cruise Amigos / Passion for Cruises, or Passions for Cruises / not Cruise Amigos, Cruises for Solos show for Passions for Cruises, or Passions for Cruises show for Cruises for whichever way it is, with Pete and gang, Allison and Mr. Bucket List. Everybody should be there. Maybe not everybody, because we've got to have one person at least is in Australia currently. But anyway, that will be at 2 o'clock my time. So it's going to be a very important day for me tomorrow, and a very busy day. So I'll be doing 3 shows tomorrow. That's going to wear my butt out. I promise you that. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. As always, again, I'll probably be back sometime before the day's over with. But stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising. And hopefully, when all this mess is over with, we'll all get together on the high seas one day soon. You guys stay safe. Later, y'all.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.